The following podcast is brought to you by the Johners Podcasting Network, found exclusively at WrestlingWithJohners.com.
And hello again, wrestling fans. So, there we go. Welcome to another edition of This Week in History. We're going to look at the week of May 20th to the 26th. We're a week behind. Unfortunately, work schedules, friends visiting, and unfortunately, deaths in the family have delayed us in recording our regular time, but we are going to get you this episode and our regular scheduled episode this week. So you got a double shot this week of us reading through 2 weeks of history. We're ready to go, but we want to thank you for joining us for this episode. It's available on Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio, anywhere else you get your podcasts from. We're on Rumble, YouTube, and Facebook. And, of course, you saw we are part of the Johners Podcast Network, sponsored by Coolbet, and our other sponsor being Hammerlock Pure Wrestling. And we are going to be proud to partner with Jobsite Brewery Company in Stratford, Ontario, bring you live wrestling Saturday, July 9th. Tickets are just $20, family-friendly event, and that's Hammerlock Pure Wrestling. But we need to bring in Jonesy as my dog starts barking at the world.
Yeah, you tell him. Whoever's there, is your dog a loving dog? Does your dog like to hump legs?
He is a loving dog, but he also sees somebody across the street on the other side of a fence.
Well, yeah.
That's nowhere near us and still barks at them.
So he's doing his job.
We are super protected by a Dachshund wiener dog. Dachshund beagle. All 21 pounds of him. He is protecting our studio and home here as we record. So, yeah, gotta love the little guy. And sometimes he's made appearances on camera when he sits on my lap. Hopefully he'll do that later on. But we are talking about wrestling. But first, how are you, sir?
I'm doing okay. Here in Niagara, the IMAX is pretty much gone. I can send pictures next week and put a couple up. But yeah, it's fun. It was kind of fun to watch the old pyramid come down, and look forward to seeing the hotel / condos that are going in.
Yeah, it was always a landmark that I never went to in Niagara, mainly because it was IMAX, and those movies are somewhat just documentaries, and it was the same one all the time about the Daredevils. And yeah, so
yeah, I was told at the beginning it was better. They actually they showed a Rolling Stones concert on it. I think when it first opened up, but just like the one in London, which the one in London didn't last more. I think it was built and torn down within 20 years.
Yeah, way little time over at the fairgrounds.
Or the IMAX had been there since, I believe, the 70s, that building. A little sad to see it come down because it was one of those buildings that you don't see very often. There is another triangle type building not too far away from it that used to be a Hooters. Yeah, the big pyramid's gone. So all those that hail to the pyramids are gone. Of course, we're trying to save time, and here we are blabbing away. So let's get straight into the history action. 35 years ago, May 20th, 1987, a Memphis court judge rules in favor of Jerry Lawler against the WWF. Lawler took issue with the WWF promoting Harley Race as the king of wrestling and sued the WWF. As a result, Race could no longer be the king of wrestling in all of Tennessee. May 20th, 2001, at Judgment Day, China defeated Lita to retain the Women's Championship. This was China's last match in the WWE. 20 years ago, May 20th, 2002, WWE taped the 200th episode of Sunday Night Heat from the Pyramid in Memphis, Tennessee. The show aired 6 days later. 14 years ago, May 20th, 2008, Darren Matthews, a.k.a. William Regal, is suspended for 60 days for a second violation of the WWE wellness policy.
Yeah, thankfully he is a success story that finally got over those demons, and WWE basically saved his life by keeping him around. I remember hearing stories. I hear stories when he was doing the Real Man's Band where he fell asleep in a meeting with Vince McMahon, and that was kind of the straw that broke the camel's back in that time when he tried to be there. But they at least held in with him, and he became the general manager over on NXT. And well, now we see him in AEW with Dana Bryan or Bryan Danielson, should I say, and Jon Moxley. But yeah, they did a great job of taking care of him.
Yeah, that's a guy. If you told me, when he was in WCW, that he'd still be around in wrestling and on, the number one promotion in the world, then I would have thought you were crazy.
Well, it's weird that he also looked older than what he was in WCW when he went to Vince.
Absolutely. 11 years ago, May 21st, 2011, in Amsterdam, New York, the Professional Wrestling Hall of Fame welcomes 12 new inductees. Bronco Nagurski, Everett Marshall, Ed Farhat, the original Sheik, Dick the Bruiser, Jerry Lawler, Ivan Koloff, Billy Robinson, the Road Warriors, and their manager Paul Ellering, Judy Grable, and Vince McMahon. 9 years ago, May 21st, 2013, Sinclair Broadcasting Group announces via press release that they have purchased Ring of Honor.
And now that's owned by Tony Khan.
Yes. 9 years ago, May 21st, 2013, Tammy Lynn Cinch, a.k.a. Sunny, was released from a Connecticut state prison after serving almost 4 months. This stemmed from a slew of multiple violations of a protective order, disorderly conduct, and 3-degree burglary from September 2012 to January 2013. This would include arrests on 3 consecutive days and another pair of arrests within 24 hours involving her then-boyfriend wrestler, Damien Darling.
Yeah, unfortunately, she cannot get herself a break ever since falling off whatever roller coaster of life she was on, because now it's just disaster after disaster. Apparently now facing more charges, potentially manslaughter. I think I could be a little bit overboard on that one, but because she was a DUI, suspended license, and had a car accident that caused somebody to die. So yeah, I wish she would catch a break, but you never know.
Yikes. 21 years ago, May 22nd, 2001, at SmackDown taping in Anaheim, California, Chris Benoit would suffer a neck injury during a 4-team TLC match that had him and Chris Jericho retain the WWF Tag Team belts. The losers were the Hardy Boys, Matt and Jeff, the Dudley Boys, and Edge and Christian. Of course, I think the real loser was Chris Benoit, who probably had more brain cells killed that night.
Yeah, and it was the day just after his birthday.
20 years ago, May 22nd, 2002, NWA TNA announced they signed former WCW announcer Mike Tenay to be their lead announcer. Tenay served as a lead announcer for nearly all of their events. And I go for the tag.
Okay, and then May 22nd, 2010, MacGruber opens in theaters and stinks up the box office. It would stay in theaters only 3 weeks and only earn $9.3 million at the box office. The movie had a bunch of WWE cameos at the beginning of the movie as MacGruber, its elite team. The team consisted of Chris Jericho, MVP, the Great Khali, The Big Show, Mark Henry, and Kane. We'll flip that one over. 37 years ago, May 4th, 1985, in Chicago, Illinois, Oprah Winfrey made her appearance on a WWE Health show, and the appearance was a cross-promotion with local morning show AM Chicago. With 3 matches from the event airing on the show, Oprah doing guest commentary. In the show's main event, WWF champion Hulk Hogan defeated Don Morocco. Just going back on May 23rd, 2010, over the limit, Rey Mysterio defeated CM Punk. With the win, CM Punk was forced to shave his head. Had Mysterio lost, he would have been forced to join the Straight Edge Society. John Cena defeated Batista in an I Quit match to retain the WWE Championship. It would be Batista's last bout in WWE until he returned to the company in January 2014 at the Royal Rumble, which we were both at, and got booed out of the building.
Sure did.
31 years ago, on May 24th, 1991, Scott Hall makes his WCW television debut as the Diamond Stud. In his debut, he defeated Tommy Angel. 28 years ago, on May 25th, 1994, WWF TV tapings in Erie, Pennsylvania. A 16-year-old Jeff Hardy makes his WWF debut in a losing effort to the 1-2-3 Kid. Damn. Also on the card, with the debut of Ted DiBiase's Undertaker, Brian Lee. May 20th, 5th, 2002, WWE premiered WWE Confidential with Mean Gene Okerlund on Spike TV. This lasted 2 years, 83 episodes. The show featured behind-the-scenes look into the WWE talent, including Miss Elizabeth's passing, the Montreal Screwjob, and the abrupt exit of Stone Cold Steve Austin. Also the same day, Velocity debuted a recap featuring SmackDown stars with a few matches. The main event saw Trish Stratus defeat Stacy Keibler in a bra and panties match to retain the WWE Women's Championship. And we'll do that one. 20 years ago, on May 25th, 2002, Shikara Pro Wrestling had its first show. This promotion was a wrestling school that produced its own show with a lot of new talented Lucha Libre flavor. The first main event saw the Black T-Shirt Squad, Mike Quackenbush, Reckless Youth, and Don Montoya defeat Gold Bond Mafia, consisting of CM Punk, Colt Cabana, and Chris Hero. 35 years ago, on May 26, 1987, former WWF champion, the Iron Sheik, and Hacksaw Jim Duggan were arrested in New Jersey on drug possession charges. They were pulled over on the New Jersey Turnpike. The two were on their way to a WWF house show, and they were scheduled to face each other in their ongoing feud. Duggan was caught drinking and driving and possession of pot, and Sheik was charged with possession of cocaine and marijuana. They managed to make it to the event that night and wrestled their match without telling the WWF that they got arrested. Of course, the TV news got a hold of the story, and both were fired from WWF, but of course they would both return in the future with rehiring. Duggan ultimately got a conditional discharge, while Sheik received a year's probation. And if you see the Sheik documentary that's, I believe, on, I want to say Amazon Prime, could be on Netflix, but I think it's Amazon. There's actually a cartoon of this whole thing, and I think it's also on YouTube. It's quite the funny thing. My wife loved it. And finally, with our headlines, 14 years ago, May 26, 2008, Vince McMahon announces on Raw McMahon's $1 Million Mania. He would give away $1 million a week beginning with the next episode. But the ratings did not work, and they abandoned it shortly after. The end saw the stage collapse on Vince McMahon without any explanation. And back to some deaths, unfortunately, which also includes our superstar spotlight on Randy Macho Man Savage. Want to start us off, Jonesy?
All right. I'll read this blip, and then if you want to run down the rest of it. May 20th, 2011, the world was suddenly less macho. Macho Man Randy Savage passed away at 58 years old after suffering a heart attack while driving with his wife in Seminole, in Florida somewhere. He was cremated days later with his ashes spread at the base of a tree at his home, where his dog Hercules also had his ashes scattered. In a professional full of larger-than-life characters, there were perhaps none brighter than Randy Savage, who was the embodiment of charisma and also possessed remarkable timing both in the ring and behind a microphone. Now let Shawn take this because this is one of his favorite wrestlers.
Of course. He's my reason for actually becoming a wrestling fan. Had I been prepared in time for this, I was going to wear my Macho Man Randy Savage shirt that I just got off WD.com. But Randy, as you said, was born May 15th, 1952, died May 20th, 2011, the day right before my birthday. And that and Owen's death really puts a bummer on my day. Better known by Randy Macho Man Savage, he worked for WWF and WCW. He was described by ESPN's Bill Simmons as one of the greatest pro wrestlers who ever lived, a statement echoed by multiple industry performers. He was recognized by wrestling fans for his distinctively flamboyant ring attire, intensity exhibited in and out of the ring, use of the use of the music Pomp and Circumstance, March number 1 for his entrance music by Elgar as his entrance, and signature catchphrase, "Ooh, yeah." For most of his tenure in WWF and WCW, Savage was managed by his real-life wife, Miss Elizabeth, or Elizabeth Hewlett. Savage had 29 championship reigns with 11 titles during his 32-year career, including 2 WWF World Heavyweight Championships and 4 WCW heavyweight titles. Of course, some of those were only day long, thanks to Hogan. As the WWF champion, he held similar drawing power to Hulk Hogan, and one-time WWF Intercontinental Heavyweight Champion. He was named by WWE as the greatest title holder of all time and credited for bringing a higher level of credibility to the title through his amazing in-ring performances. Savage was the 1987 King of the Ring, a 1995 WCW World War III winner. He headlined many pay-per-views events through his career, including WrestleMania 4, taking on 4 matches to win the title, WrestleMania 5, and WrestleMania 8, being a part of the double main event, defeating Ric Flair. I think one of his best WrestleMania matches, though, and a lot of people say Steamboat and Savage at WrestleMania 3, but I got to throw in Savage and Warrior at WrestleMania 7. It's probably about the only guy other than Rick Rude who could give Ultimate Warrior a good match. He also was part of the SummerSlam pay-per-views main eventing. It was Mega Powers versus Mega Bucks in the first one, and then him teaming with Zeus against Hogan and Beefcake. So he's always on top whenever he was around. He was inducted into the Wrestling Observer Hall of Fame upon its inception in 1996, and posthumously inducted into WWE Hall of Fame in 2015. A lot of people thought that Savage should have been there a lot sooner, but there's rumors of a lot of other things that behind the scenes, maybe or maybe not, involving Stephanie McMahon. We'll never know unless somebody comes up with the real truth, because I think even his brother Lanny has denied that.
Only she and knows.
So yeah, he before getting into wrestling, he was a catcher in the Cincinnati Reds organization, but I believe he blew out his knees and followed in his dad's footsteps. His dad was Angelo Poffo. As I said, Lanny is his brother and ex-wife, Miss Elizabeth. So many different accolades throughout his career, and definitely anybody who says they saw him and didn't like him is crazy.
Yeah, I can understand not liking him as far as, being cocky and stuff like that. But as far as, you go and I'll never forget seeing him at the London Gardens against Jerry Lawler. And it was one of the best matches I seen live, because they both got on the microphone and Macho on the microphone. But yeah, I seen him a few times there, and always just a great performer. And again, you hear that he planned all these matches, and you're like, wow, to do that, to choreograph every single step, that's impressive.
Yeah, there were stories about him doing that with his feud with Dusty, and eventually they went, nope, we're doing this tonight instead. And he went along with it, but it was just like, oh, kind of weird.
Mm.
Anyways, a few more people unfortunately passed away in the wrestling world during that week, including on May 23rd, 2020, Hana Kimura died at the age of 22 due to suicide. May 23rd, 1994, Ray Candy died at the age of 42 due to a heart attack. And 38 years ago, on May 24th, Vince McMahon Sr. died of pancreatic cancer in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, at the age of 69. He was born in July 6, 1914, in Harlem, New York, and of course is the father to Vinnie Mac. Do not call him Vince Jr. A lot of things with him and having his territory up in the East. He can be seen in the 1974 movie The Wrestler, and of course he was posthumously inducted into the Madison Square Garden Hall of Fame in 84, WWF Hall of Fame in 96, Wrestling Observer Newsletter Hall of Fame in 96, and the Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame in 2004. Two more people who unfortunately passed away are May 25th, 1983, Johnny Rougeau, age 53 due to cancer, and 9 years ago on May 26th, 2013, Hector Garza died of lung cancer at age 43, and I believe he is the father of one of the guys currently in WWE. I want to say Angel Garza, who's one of the Latin lovers on Raw with his cousin. So rest in peace to all those who passed away during that week. And I'm going to tag over to Jonesy for some title changes while I rest my throat thanks to my allergies.
All right, title changes. 28 years ago, May 20th, 1994, in Japan, the Holy Demon Army, Kawada and Akira Tau, defeated the Miracle Violence Connection, being Terry Gordy and Steve Williams, to win the All Japan Pro Wrestling World Tag Team Championship. This would end the fifth and final reign of Gordy and Williams. May 20th, 2001, Kane defeated Triple H in a chain match to win the Intercontinental Championship. May 20th, 2007, Bobby Lashley defeated Umaga, Shane McMahon, and Vince McMahon in just 74 seconds in a handicap match to win the ECW Championship. And MVP defeated Chris Benoit to zip in a best-of-3 falls match to win the WWE United States Championship. May 20th, 2012, Christian defeated Cody Rhodes to win the WWE Intercontinental Championship. 70 years ago, May 21st, 1952, in Los Angeles, Lou Thesz defeated Baron Michel Leon to win the California version of the World Heavyweight Championship. This win would make Lou Thesz the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world, as he held every regional version of the title, NWA Alliance and Association, and had a non-title win over AWA champion Gorgeous George. May 21st, 1995, the Nasty Boys defeated Harlem Heat to win the WCW World Tag Team Championship. May 21st, 2000, Triple H defeated The Rock 6-5 in a 1-hour Iron Man match to win the WWF Championship. Shawn Michaels was the special referee. Rock is disqualified after the 60-minute time limit when The Undertaker entered the ring and took out each member of the McMahon faction, including Triple H. 21 years ago, May 21st, 2001, on Raw is War from San Jose, California. Chris Benoit and Chris Jericho defeated the two-man power trip beating Stone Cold Steve Austin and Triple H to win the WWF Tag Team Championship. This would be Triple H's last match for the remainder of the year, as late into the bout, Triple H tore his quadriceps muscle in his left leg.
And still continued the match for the craziness that entails. And then you always see in the Don't Do This at Home, him being walked up the ramp, not carried or anything like that. He was actually walking up the ramp with help and Stephanie behind, but that's just crazy, still being able to do that and also continuing your match.
Well, it shows his heart for wrestling, and that a lot of them are true athletes. 19 years ago, May 21st, 2003, in Sydney, Australia, Jerry Lynn defeated Chris Sabin to win the World Wrestling All-Stars Cruiserweight Championship. May 21st, 2006, Paul London and Brian Kendrick defeated Eminem, Johnny Nitro, and Joey Mercury to win the WWE Tag Team Championship. Booker T defeated Bobby Lashley to win the 2006 King of the Ring tournament.
King Abuka.
33 years ago, May 21st, 1989, in Bluefield, West Virginia, Lex Luger defeated Michael Hayes to win the NWA United States Championship. Lexi would go on to hold the U.S. belt longer than anyone else in 523 days. 29 years ago, May 21st, 1993, in Knoxville, Tennessee, Brian Lee became the first Smoky Mountain Wrestling heavyweight champion. A one-day tournament was held. In the final, Lee defeated Paul Orndorff via DQ.
And of course, Brian Lee became the fake Undertaker and later Chains of the DOA. And he was managed by Tammy Cinch at that time before she became Sunny.
All right. Thank you, History Voice. May 22nd, 1994, Cactus Jack and Calvin Sullivan defeated the Nasty Boys in a Broad Street bully match to win the WCW World Tag Team Championship. Sting defeated Vader to win the vacated WCW International World Heavyweight Belt.
Yeah, that was a wonky time when the big gold belt was named that, and they had a separate WCW championship.
27 years ago, May 22nd, 1995, in Quebec, Canada, Jeff Jarrett defeated Razor Ramon to win the WWF Intercontinental Championship just 3 days after losing the title in a ladder match in Montreal.
Always makes it worthwhile going to a house show. You never know what's going to happen.
You don't. And even when you don't get a title change, sometimes you get to see someone that you don't see very often, whether it's a certain official or the president of the WWF. You just never know. Where were we? There we are. 22 years ago, May 22nd, 2000, on Nitro from Grand Rapids, Michigan, Ric Flair is stripped of the WCW World Heavyweight Championship by Vince Russo. This would mean the main event for the evening saw Jeff Jarrett defeat Kevin Nash to win the vacated world title. This was the fourth time the title changed hands that month. Daphne defeated Crowbar to win the WCW Cruiserweight Championship.
Hot potato.
Hot potato. Well, we got a lot more in this category. Okay, I'm going to tag it in a minute. 30 years ago, May 23rd, 1992, at a WCW Saturday Night taping in Atlanta, Steve Austin defeated Barry Windham to win the WCW World Television Championship. And I'm almost ready to tag in.
Okay, and then we have May 23rd, 1999. Kane and X-Pac defeated D'Lo Brown and Mark Henry to win the WWF Tag Team Championship. The Undertaker defeated Stone Cold Steve Austin to win the WWF Championship, and Shane McMahon and Vince McMahon were special guest referees for that match. 22 years ago, on May 23rd, 2000, WCW Thunder taping in Saginaw, Michigan, Kevin Nash defeated Jeff Jarrett and Scott Steiner in a three-way match to win the WCW World Heavyweight Championship. This was the fifth time the title changed hands in the month of May 2000. 15 years ago, On May 23rd, 2007, a SmackDown taping in Bakersfield, California, Bobby Lashley defeated John Bradshaw Layfield in just 82 seconds to win the WWE United States Championship. And Rey Mysterio defeated JBL to retain the World Heavyweight Championship later on in the show. As a result of the loss, JBL retired. Of course, that didn't stick as he retired again by Mysterio at WrestleMania 25 in 21 seconds for the IC title. May 23rd, 2010, Kofi Kingston defeats Drew McIntyre to win the WWE Intercontinental Championship. 11 years ago, on May 23rd, 2011, on Raw from Portland, Oregon, the new Nexus, David Otunga and Michael McGillicuddy, defeated The Big Show and Kane to win the WWE Tag Team Championships. And actually, just the other day, Michael McGillicuddy, or Joe Hennig, appeared on Raw to help break up a brawl between Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes. So he's back working for WWE, but as an agent now. So it's come around full circle. No idea where Otunga is, though. 9 years ago, on May 23rd, 2013, at an NXT taping in Florida, Bo Dallas defeated Big E Langston to win the NXT Championship. He became the third champion in NXT history, the first one being Seth Rollins. 9 years ago, on May 23rd, 2013, Impact from Florida, Mickie James defeated Velvet Sky to win the TNA Knockouts Championship. 49 years ago, on May 24th, 1973, in Kansas City, Harley Race defeated Dory Funk Jr. to win the NWA World Heavyweight Championship. Dory Funk Jr. ended up with the second longest reign in NWA history at 1,563 days. 37 years ago, on May 24th, 1985, from Yokosuka, Japan, Ric Flair defeated Kerry Von Erich 2-1 in a best-of-3 falls match to win the NWA World Heavyweight Championship. May 21st, 2009, Beer Money Inc., James Storm and Robert Roode defeated the British Invasion, Brutus Magnus, and Doug Williams to win the Team 3D Invitational Tournament. 12 years ago, on May 24th, 2010, from Raw, R-Truth defeated The Miz to win the WWE United States Championship. 35 years ago, on May 25th, 1987, from Lake Tahoe, Nevada, Soledad Unitov and Boris Zukov defeated the Midnight Rockers, Marty Jannetty and Shawn Michaels, to win the NWA World Tag Team Championship. Doug Summers would soon replace Zukov 5 months later as Zukov graduated and went to the WWF. 33 years ago, on May 25th, 1989, from Osaka, Japan, Salman Hashimoto, I'm just butchering somebody's name, defeated Big Van Vader to win the IWGP Heavyweight Championship. On the same show, Jushin Thunder Liger would win his first IWGP Junior Heavyweight title, defeating Koshinika. Liger would go on to hold that title 11 times. 23 years ago, on May 25th, 1999, at a Raw's War taping in Moline, Illinois, Jeff Jarrett defeated The Godfather to win the WWF Intercontinental Championship. Originally, it was apparently supposed to be Owen Hart winning the title, who died 2 days earlier. The episode would air on May 31st. The Acolytes, Bradshaw and Farouk, defeated X-Pac and Kane to win the WWF Tag Team Championships. 35 years ago, on May 26, 1987, the Rock and Roll Express are awarded the NWA World Tag Team Championships. Manny Fernandez and Rick Rude were the champions at the time, but both men left Jim Crockett Promotions. Rude went to the WWF, and Fernandez left for Mid-South Wrestling, leaving them with no champions. So they chose to air a previous match that had Ivan Koloff teaming with Fernandez, claiming Rude was injured. This is known as a phantom title change. And 2 more title changes to wrap things up on this section. May 26, 1986, the Smoking Guns, Billy and Bart, defeated the Godwins, Phineas Godwin and Henry O. Godwin, yes, Hog and Pig, to win the WWF Tag Team Championships. And that's when they picked up Sonny as their manager and turned heel.
Those were the not so good days of the tag team division in the WWE.
Yeah, kind of weak. And Sonny was with every team pretty much. 25 years ago, on May 26, 1997, Raw from Evansville, Shawn Michaels and Stone Cold Steve Austin defeated Owen Hart and the British Bulldog to win the WWF Tag Team Championships. And if I recall right, that was on their way towards battling each other at the King of the Ring pay-per-view. And could the tag team titles be safe with two guys who were facing each other? The drama.
Oh, right on to the big events. 21 years ago, May 20th, 2001, WWF presented Judgment Day 2001. May 20th, 2007, WWE presented Judgment Day 2007. May 20th, 2012, WWE presented Over the Limit from North Carolina. John Laurinaitis is defeated by John Cena. Oh, sorry. Where I had the cursor looked like it is. Anyways, so John Laurinaitis defeated John Cena in what Wrestling Observer readers voted worst match of the year. The Big Slow, who was not on the active roster, interfered, giving Laryngitis the win. Per pre-match stipulations, any superstar on the active roster who interfered on either man's behalf would be fired.
Yeah, it's always weird when they bring back somebody as an authority figure to that extent, and we're supposed to pretend that they were never a wrestler and can't manage themselves in the ring. And oh my God, what's going to happen? Meanwhile, he was a pro wrestler for many years. I'm waiting for them to do that with Adam Pearce.
Yeah, he the thing is, that was a terrible match, and I don't know what happened, but again, you wouldn't know that Laryngitis was a wrestler for all those years because that match stunk.
Exactly, and they portray him as somebody who's weak and could not handle himself.
7 years ago, May 20th, 2015, NXT presented TakeOver Unstoppable from Winter Park, Florida. The show is best remembered for the debut of longtime TNA performer Samoa Joe. Kevin Owens fought Sami Zayn to a no contest for the NXT Championship. 27 years ago, May 21st, 1995, WCW presented Slamboree, Legends Reunion. The show included the final inductions into the WCW Hall of Fame, while Hugh McDaniel, Angelo Poffo, Terry Funk, Antonio Inoki, Dustin Rhodes, Gordon Sully, and Big John Studd humorously or homously, I don't know.
Posthumously.
It's posthumously?
The H is silent.
Oh, posthumously. I see. Okay. I learned something. Why didn't you tell me this earlier? The inclusion of Angelo Poffo led to some contention between Soli and WCW and ultimately led to his release from the company a few weeks later.
It's interesting that WCW only basically did a Hall of Fame 3 times, at Slamboree 93, 94, and 95, and totally stopped. I don't get it.
I don't think they've seen what, McMahon's seen as far as, it's a yearly thing, and it's a lot of people like award shows, and over the years, like I'm actually the WWE Hall of Fame, I'm not a fan of how they do it now. I liked it when it was more like an awards show than just doing it in the wrestling ring, even though it does still look good, but I don't know, it just doesn't have the same charm that the other way did.
Yeah, and I was at the one in 2007, just before WrestleMania 23, and that was still in Fox Theater before they put it into arenas now.
22 years ago, May 21st, 2000, WWF presented Judgment Day. The Undertaker would return with a new look as the American Badass Biker and new music. 16 years ago, in 2006, on May 21st, WWE presented Judgment Day. 28 years ago, May 22nd, 1994, WCW presented Slamboree, a Legends Reunion. This would be the last WCW pay-per-view before Hulk Hogan enters the company. Inducted into the WCW Hall of Fame were the Assassin, Ole Anderson, Harley Race, Ernie Ladd, The Crusher, and Dick the Bruiser. May 22nd, 2005, WWE presented Judgment Day from Minneapolis, Minnesota. And May 22nd, 2011, saw WWE present its Over the Limit pay-per-view. And on to 28 years ago, May 23rd, 1993, WCW presented Slamboree, a Legends Reunion. That year's festivities included inaugural WCW Hall of Fame class, including Lou Thesz, Mr. Wrestling 2, Vern Gagne, and Eddie Graham. Many other wrestlers were honored at the event, which included Ox Baker, the Moolah, Greg Valentine, Stu Hart, Magnum TA, Dusty Rhodes, Grizzly Smith, Mad Dog Vachon, and Johnny Valentine. Also at the event, the Four Horsemen reformed with Ric Flair, Ole, and Arn Anderson, and Paul Roma. And Sid Vicious returned to the WCW after WWF after failing a drug test.
Yeah, there's actually a episode of 83 Weeks that was done a couple weeks ago, and Conrad and Eric talk about this, and they basically, Eric, this is before he got in charge of WCW, so he can't be blamed for a lot of the stuff that happened there, but he even felt embarrassed for how the Legends were treated that night. Like, they were basically just carted there, shown on camera, and nothing done with them. And then they did a stupid black and white match with old timers. It was just poorly presented, and it's unfortunate. I think I remember buying Slamboree 93 because of it being a Legends reunion.
Too bad you didn't get your money's worth.
Exactly. I can finish off some of these events. 23 years ago, on May 23rd, 1999, WWF presented Over the Edge from the Kemper Arena in Kansas City, Missouri. A horrible incident happened during the event when Owen Hart, who was to descend from the rafters, fell to his death. The harness mechanism was released too early, and WWF later would successfully sue the company that manufactured the harness. The incident happened when a video package was airing. Only those in attendance saw the fall, and I believe Jimmy Corderas recalls feeling Owen's momentum and wind go past him, and maybe even a light finger touch as he skimmed past him to his fall. Anyways, the incident happened that the event would continue after the fall, and Jim Ross had the most impossible job of announcing to the WWF universe that Owen Hart had suddenly passed away. Those in attendance were left in the dark about Owen's passing, and the event was never released on video, but can be seen on the WWE Network with a lot of editing. Jerry Lawler even got out of the ring, out of his commentary spot to go in. They can't officially say it because there's no doctor there to do so, but I'm pretty sure you can say he was dead as soon as he hit, and they had to do all the life-saving things that they needed to until a doctor could actually pronounce him dead. But then they also had to contact family, and I guess right after they contacted the family, they gave Jim Ross like 10 seconds to hear the message, and we're going back to you live, and here you go. And he's like, what? And yeah, just really a sad day that happened. And then Martha Hart, as I guess reasonably you can say, she has stayed away from WWF and not allowed them to honor Owen, but she has teamed up recently with AEW and Tony Khan to honor Owen and the Owen Hart Foundation, and they just had a tournament, and Britt Baker and Adam Cole won the respective male and female tournaments and got each belt styled on the old Stampede Wrestling titles, what they look like, along with a cup. They don't get to keep the cup, they get to keep the belts and their names inscribed on it, but the power couple of AEW is the first people to honor Owen, and at least his name's out there, even though he had no affiliation with AEW. Carrying on, 12 years ago, on May 23rd, 2010, WWE presented Over the Limit at the Joe in Detroit, Michigan. I actually attended this with our friend Ed on that night and made the drive to Detroit for that one.
Wow, that was 12 years ago. Didn't that have a steel cage match in it?
No, that one had that one had the John Cena and Batista match, and they were Falls Count Anywhere. He got AA'd off a car, and also that's where CM Punk got his head shaved. Plus, Randy Orton ended up pounding the mat, getting ready for his RKO, and messed himself up because he was too intense in hitting. So he had to change his style and getting ready for the RKO. But 20 years ago on May 24th, 2002, AAA presented Triple Mania 9 from Mexico City, Mexico. 13 years ago, May 24th, 2009, TNA presented Sacrifice from the Impact Zone in Orlando, Universal Studios in Orlando. Sting defeated Mick Foley, Jeff Jarrett, Kurt Angle in an Ultimate Sacrifice match. Each wrestler had a stipulation that if they were pinned, they would be sacrificed. As Sting defeated Angle, he became the leader of the main event Mafia. The TNA World Heavyweight Championship did not change hands during that match. If Sting had gotten pinned, he would leave TNA. If Angle got pinned, the person who pinned him would gain ownership of the main event Mafia. That's how Sting got that. If Foley had gotten pinned, the person who pinned him would become TNA World Heavyweight Champion. If Jarrett got pinned, he would lose his match-making ability in TNA.
Too many damn stipulations.
I don't mind it to a certain extent if they play it well, but why wouldn't you go after the champion? Really? The ultimate prize, you go after Mick Foley.
Yeah.
That whole thing. 19 years ago, on May 25th, 2003, World Wrestling All-Stars presented its final event, The Reckoning, from Auckland, New Zealand. The event would air in the United States on June 8th. Chris Sabin defeated Jerry Lynn, Johnny Swinger, and Frankie Kazarian in a four-way match to unify the TNA X Division with the WWA International Cruiserweight Championship. Sabu defeated Joey Legend, and Jeff Jarrett defeated Sting to unify the NWA and WWA World Heavyweight Championships. And finally, and we saw Beware of Dog. This was WWE presenting In Your House, Beware of Dog, May 26, 1996. There was a huge storm outside during that. They got a couple matches in, and the power went down. There is a something to wrestle with. Bruce Pritchard talking about this, that they still gave the fans matches, but they didn't give the match results that they planned on doing unless the power went back on. And they when the power went back on, they quickly had Jake Roberts beat his opponent that they had for him. I can't remember who it was at the moment. And they quickly got then the main event out there with Bulldog and Shawn. So people did get to see that. They then filmed Raw the next day, but they were expecting to do a replay on the Tuesday anyways for people. So they ended up just doing another live event and redoing the matches that you didn't get to see on pay-per-view, including a casket match with Undertaker and Goldust, a strap match with Stone Cold Steve Austin and Savio Vega, and a couple other matches. And in between that time, also, Ted DiBiase decided he was going to leave WWE. All he had to do was tell Vince that he was going. So he told Vince that, and he was planning on going to WCW. Vince said, okay, thanks. And on the Monday Night Raw, they set up an opportunity for him to say in a rematch for Austin and Vega that if Vega had won, he was going to quit the WWE. He'd be banished. And, of course, Vega ended up picking up the victory. So it's a two-parter event that you don't know that it's a two-part event because they did a lot of editing when you watch on WWE Network. I watched that just the other day just to know some of the stuff here and see how it played out. And there is not really much to know the difference that there was 2 days, other than the fact that the commentary team changed also, because on the Tuesday it was JR and Perfect. The Sunday was, I believe, Lawler and McMahon. And the main event is in the middle of the show because you get the part 2 at the other half of the show. So it's a mixed up event, but it's worth watching. One of the better in your houses, I think.
Yes, absolutely.
So we'll move on to the Monday Night Wars. And if you want to start with what happened in Raw.
All right. 23 years ago, May 24th, 1999. This show was a tribute to Owen Hart, who died a day earlier at the Over the Edge pay-per-view. There would be many anecdotes about Owen throughout the broadcast and some matches. There was a 10-bell salute for Owen to open the show. The show ended with Stone Cold Steve Austin giving the toast to Owen while a graphic was displayed. Personally, I thought that was just, I don't know, I didn't like that at all. That Austin was the one that came out and did it. It just, to me, that it just wasn't right. Anyway. Well,
on that one, I can see why they had him do it, because he was the leader of the locker room and the company and stuff like that. And it was the whole Stone Cold thing. But to know behind the scenes, him and Owen really didn't talk after what happened with Owen accidentally dropping him on his head. I can only imagine what Steve thought being sent out there to do a toast to Owen.
Mm-hmm. The show receives a 7.2 Nelson rating, the highest for a special episode, and the third highest for any episode in the show's history. The matches: Jeff Jarrett with Deborah defeated Test in 2 minutes and 40 seconds. X-Pac and Kane defeated The Brood, Edge and Gangrel with Christian to retain the WWF Tag Team Championship, and that was 4 minutes. The Hardy Boys with Michael Hayes defeated Kai and Tai and Sho Funaki in 3 minutes and 20 seconds. Ken Shamrock defeated Hardcore Holly, and just under 2, Mankind defeated Mr. Ass by countout. 3 minutes. D'Lo Brown and Mark Henry with Ivory defeated the Acolytes in about 4 minutes. The Godfather with all his hoes versus Road Dogg ended in a no contest in a WWF Intercontinental Championship match. Triple H with China defeated Al Snow in under 4. The Big Show defeated Goldust with Blue Meanie in 1. And The Rock defeated Val Venus in just under 1 minute.
Yeah,
of course, this was the Owen Hart tribute, which included an opening which all the WWF talent and officials, referees stood in front of the Titantron to pay their respects. And sorry, you were going to say.
Yeah, a lot of the matches were just matches for the sake of having matches in front of the fans. They didn't really follow any storyline that night. And even that Godfather Road Dogg match, Road Dogg and him decided, let's not have a match. Let's go back and drink.
You gotta love that type of opponent. Okay, so after all that, we go over to see what was on Nitro that night.
Yeah, so over on Nitro, it was held at the Milo Center in Greenville, South Carolina. Van Hammer defeated Chavo Guerrero in 3 minutes. Van Hammer, God forbid. David Flair with Arn Anderson and Ric Flair and Torrie Wilson in his corner defeated El Dandy in 1 minute and 25. Blitzkrieg, Damien, Evan Courageous, Halloween, Johnny Swinger, Juventud Guerrero, Kaz Hayashi, Kidman, Lash LaRue, Prince Ikea's Psychosis ended in a no contest in a cruiserweight battle royal and took 8 minutes. Chris Benoit with Dean Malenko defeated Buddy Lee Parker in 3 minutes and 38 seconds. Booker T defeated Rick Steiner, who had Scott Steiner in his corner by DQ to retain the television title in 4 minutes and 49 seconds. And the main event saw Hugh Morris with Jimmy Hart taking on Rey Mysterio, and it ended in a no contest because Bam Bam Bigelow, Diamond Dallas Page, and Ric Flair. Oh, sorry, that ended in a no contest. Your main event was Bigelow and DDP, and Flair defeated Benoit, Malenko, and Piper in 5 minutes and 52 seconds. It was also reported that Brett was to face WCW champion Kevin Nash in the Nitro main event. That night, of course, he ended up going back home to Calgary to be with his family.
Yeah, I don't think there was a winner that night because Owen died the night before.
Yeah, the only show to watch would have been the Owen tribute, the way they did it. A lot of vignettes backstage, people telling Owen stories and visibly upset and crying. Yeah, if you ever want to see it, it's definitely worth going back to see. Definitely not for the wrestling content.
Alrighty, we're going to go to birthdays, so get out your lighters and candles. We got May 20th, Road Dogg Brian James turns 53. Also on the same day, Daniel Kamela turns 29, and Akem, I guess, A-K-E-M, turns 29. Akem, there you go.
From the Authors of Pain.
See, when I see that, I just think of Akeem.
Yeah, I had to check that one before as well, because when I was getting the pictures, I was like, is that Akeem? No, it's Akem from the Authors of Pain.
May 21st sees Chris Benoit, who would have turned 55. Kota Ibushi turns 40. Leva Bates turns 39. Any relation?
No relation, but...
All right.
And, of course, Mr. T turns 70, and he loves his mama on every day of the year.
Oh, yeah.
Those
one
are
of the
my
worst speeches of all time.
My birthday twins.
Oh, wow. Cool. May 22nd sees Scott Putski turn 56. Brian Danielson turns 41. Joe Coffey turns 34. And it's a happy 34th birthday for Santana Garrett. And that is the second generation wrestler who is currently signed to the WWE. May 22nd, it's a happy 47th birthday for Tracy Brooks, aka Tracy Brooks. And one is spelled with a Y, one with an I. She's born in St. Mary's, Ontario. She was a model before breaking into the wrestling business, winning a local calendar contest in 2000, then doing promotional modeling for Molson Labatt and Budweiser. She was trained by Ron Hutchison. Brookshaw appeared for numerous independent organizations throughout Ontario as Tracy Brooks. She would eventually join TNA in 2003 and would manage her future husband, Frankie Kazarian. Even though she suffered from Erb's palsy, a defect that impairs movement in the arms, which has limited function in her right arm, she would have success in TNA as both a wrestler, manager, and authority figure, most notably as Knockout Law in 2008. She also held many championships in the indie scene. She would retire in 2015. May 22nd would have been the 60th birthday of Brian William Pillman. And that is our superstar spotlight, Brian Pillman. And would you like to do Spotlight?
Yeah, we're going to do a quick version of this. For those who see the visual, I'm just going to read everything that's on here. Birthday, May 22nd, 1962, from Cincinnati, Ohio. Died October 5th, 1997, found in his hotel. They were in the midst of a feud with him and Dustin and Terry Reynolds involved, but unfortunately that came to an end. Trained by Stu Hart, debuted in 1986. He worked for WCW, ECW, and the WWF. He was also known as Flying Brian, the Loose Cannon, and Yellow Dog. He played football in Cincinnati for the Bengals in 1984 and Calgary Stampeders in 1986. His son, Brian Pillman Jr., is currently working in AEW. He's a two-time Stampede Wrestling International Tag Team Champion with Bruce Hart, two-time WCW Light Heavyweight Champion, one-time NWA U.S. Tag Team Champion with Tom Zank, one-time NWA Tag Team Champion with Steve Austin, and WCW Tag Team Champion with Steve Austin as the Hollywood Blondes, a team that got so much momentum and were getting popular that they had to get broken up, and Pillman got turned face, but that didn't last long either. And Austin got put with Colonel Robert Parker. Go figure. He was number 18 in the PWI 500 for 1993. Wrestling Observer Newsletter gave him the Feud of the Year as part of the Hart Foundation versus Stone Cold Steve Austin. He also got the Rookie of the Year from the Observer Newsletter in 87. Wrestling Observer Newsletter Tag Team of the Year in 93 with the Hollywood Blondes. Wrestling Observer Newsletter Most Underrated in 1994. And, of course, he's part of the Canadian Wrestling Hall of Fame, inducted in 2016, Stampede Wrestling Hall of Fame in 1995. And it'll only be a matter of time before he is a inductee into the WWE Hall of Fame one day. And hopefully it'll be by his former tag team partner, Steve Austin, who to this day still wears a chain that the Hollywood Blondes bought each other to solidify their tag team. And all these years later, he's still wearing it. So that's a quick look at our other spotlight on Brian Pillman. But people also wondered about his raspy voice. He had a ton of surgeries on his throat over the years due to a condition that he had. So rest in peace, Brian Pillman. A guy who had a lot of creative mind for the business, and unfortunately, due to some of his fast living and his car accident, his career got cut a lot shorter than it should have been.
Yeah, it made a big impact in only 35 years. May 23rd, it's a happy 35th birthday for Patrick Martin, a.k.a. Alex Shelley. Also on the 23rd, Wyndham Rotunda, Bray Wyatt turns 35. And it's a happy 61st birthday for Andrew Allison Carey, a.k.a. WWE 2011 Hall of Famer Drew Carey. Carey, of course, is a former member of the U.S. Marine Corps Reserve. Carey took up stand-up comedy in 85. His first national exposure was on a TV show, Star Search, in 88. Carey, who is now the host of Price is Right, also was the fifth entrant in the 2001 Royal Rumble. And he is also a huge reason why improv is as hot as it is over here in North America, because he got the rights and brought over the Whose Line Is It, which I think is still going, but with a different host. May 23rd would have been the 80th birthday of Mary Alfonsi, best known to wrestling fans as Donna Christinello. May 24th, Elijah Burke turns 44. Also on the 24th, it's a happy 47th birthday for Will Sasso. Born in British Columbia, Canada, Sasso, who made a name for himself on Mad TV, he would make many appearances in wrestling, mostly WWE and WCW, feuding with Bret Hart. Sasso also has been chokeslammed by Kane. Sasso got a start on The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. He was one of the classmates. May 25th, Roman Reigns turns 37. Ricky Banderas turns 47. And Alberto Del Rio turns 45. And also on the 25th, it's a happy 32nd birthday for Tyler Michael Rotunda, a.k.a. Bo Dallas. May 26th would have been the 43rd birthday for Ashley Marie Massaro. And Ashley was one of 16 contestants for 15th season of Survivor China. She lasted only 2 episodes. She would be found unresponsive on May of 2019 after not showing up at work as a radio DJ. And that is it for this week in wrestling history. A little late, but hey, we got it in. This week in wrestling history, of course, is compiled from the vast land of Wikipedia, KHIDseats.com, and from the fans and journalists that have front row seats to history. As always, a big thank you to one of our sponsors, Coolbet, coolbet.com, and sportsbook betting and casino games. Stay cool and bet responsibly. And a hello to all our genres listeners, and also our other sponsors include
Hammerlock Pure Wrestling. Hammerlock Pure Wrestling is proud to partner with the Jobsite Brewing Company to bring pro wrestling to Stratford, Ontario. Get ready for some great wrestling action in Stratford. Tickets are on sale at the Jobsite Brewing Company for just $20. Bring your friends and family. This show is family friendly, and you won't want to miss all the action that comes from Hammerlock Pure Wrestling. We also have another show happening the following week on July 16th, back at one of our original towns of Strathroy, Ontario. And tickets are just $20 for that event as well. And we already know that Tyson Dukes put out the challenge to hometown wrestler Burkhouse McGuire. So that's going to be your main event when you go to Strathroy. So check us out, and you won't be disappointed. And on that note, we're going to wrap this up and see what brings us for the next episode with more wrestling history. So until next time, thanks for tuning in. Send us your messages. We'll talk to you later. Bye.
Doodles.